Today on the CTV News at 5, Southern Albertans gear up to hit the highway for the Victoria Day long weekend. Plus, the winners of the Canada West Science Fair are announced. And the best Pee Wee hockey players from across Western Canada hit the ice in Lethbridge.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. The long weekend is already off to a tragic start on Alberta highways. 2 people have died in a crash near Onaway. Both were in the same vehicle. Their names have not been released. Highway 43 was closed for part of the day as RCMP investigated. Police across the province have already begun stepping up traffic enforcement. And a lot of Southern Albertans will be heading south for the long weekend. Victoria Day is one of the busiest days of the year at the Coots border crossing. Canada Border Services Agency says that there are some simple steps you can take to make the process go faster. Plan your travel time to avoid peak periods and long lineups. Mornings, they're usually a lot quieter. It also helps to speed things up if travelers have their documents ready, including receipts for the items you buy in the U.S.
We have a job to do, and we got to protect Canadians as a whole and the Canadian economy, and that's our main focus here. And so when people come through and they declare the items that they did purchase, if it is Canadians being gone for a few days, or if it's visitors coming into Canada, you know, just answer all our questions truthfully, and usually there's no problems.
And you can check border wait times online or on Twitter. You can find Coots wait times on Twitter by going to @CBSACTS. Now, if you were thinking of hitting the Lethbridge's River Valley this long weekend, here's something to keep in mind. Fish and wildlife officers are recommending that residents living near the outskirts of the city take precautions to discourage coyotes from living too close to residential areas. The warning comes after 3 coyote encounters over the past few days along Bridge Drive west of the Bridge Drive golf course. In one incident, a Labrador retriever was attacked by a coyote. Yesterday morning, a jogger had to chase a coyote away after it followed him along the trail, at one point coming within 10 feet of him. Wildlife officers say coyotes are often attracted to urban areas by easy food sources.
Even if you have garbage that outside that a coyote can get at, or fruit fallen from your trees, or pet food, or anything like that, it could attract a coyote. So it's always a good idea to keep those things inside or in wildlife-resistant containers. Even removing bird seed and things like that, that will attract smaller animals that will in turn attract a coyote.
After $500,000 worth of flood damage to Fort Whoop-Up, it's set to fully reopen this weekend. The site had shut its doors in July when rainwater diverted from a broken city pipe flooded the site. Some of the fort had reopened in November. The fort will reopen tomorrow, which happens to be International Museum Day. Admission is free. Got some great news in the forecast. The sunshine's going to return, the temperatures into the low 20s. That's all going to return, but not until after the long weekend.
Exactly. It's going to arrive on Tuesday. We're going to have a beautiful work week. Not so beautiful on the weekend, but I mean, we're not shoveling snow this weekend, and we have in years past. And I know I've said that over the last several days just to kind of cheer everybody up. But we are expecting variable conditions, not a total rain out, but we will see some showers this weekend, no matter where you are in southern Alberta. So that's the forecast, but I'll have more coming up in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Dory. Even though it's been cooler the last few days, a number of Alberta fire bans remain in place for the long weekend. Here's a look at the latest list for southern Alberta. It includes the County of Newell, County of Warner, Cypress County, Lethbridge's River Valley, the MD of Willow Creek, and Vulcan County. Some areas are allowing fires in camp stoves. You should check the albertafirebans.ca website for more information. The County of Lethbridge and the MD of Pincher Creek are both under fire prevention notices at this time, and that means to use extreme caution when starting fires in those areas. Construction could begin soon to rebuild the Boston Pizza restaurant that was destroyed by fire last March. The former restaurant was gutted on March the 20th, putting almost 60 people out of work. Investigators say the cause of the fire was a faulty fridge compressor or some of its electrical components. Yesterday, the owners filed a development permit to replace the building. They hope to have the new restaurant open by the end of October. The cost of rebuilding Boston Pizza is expected to be in the neighborhood of $2.5 million. And another restaurant is also undergoing renovations after being closed by a fire, this one last November. Canadian Hudson's Tap House has taken over the former Cheesecake Cafe location on 2nd Avenue and Stafford Drive South. The Hudson's website says Lethbridge will be its 10th location and will be open by the fall. They are tweeting that there is a killer opportunity to be the next GM and owner-operator in Lethbridge. The Cheesecake wasn't reopened after a kitchen fire last November caused extensive damage. We were planning on taking a closer look at the integrity and science behind the controversial sport of base jumping for you in our news tonight. Lethbridge adventure athlete Johnny Corthias was attempting a legal jump from a bridge in Twin Falls, Idaho last week when his gear malfunctioned. He suffered several broken bones and dislocated both shoulders. After emergency surgery in Idaho, he is now recovering at home in Lethbridge. However, this afternoon he was taken back to hospital with complications. We will keep you posted on Johnny's condition. A monument dedicated to former students of Indian residential school abuse will soon be under construction on the Blood Reserve. A groundbreaking ceremony was held today. The monument will be 7 feet high and 18 feet wide. It will contain 224 family names of former students who attended the St. Mary's and St. Paul's schools. Unveiling is scheduled for September. Well, we all know Alberta is a windy place, but today the wind was even blowing indoors. Things got a little breezy at the University of Lethbridge during the 2nd annual Kid Win Challenge, or rather that's Lethbridge College. 8 teams of high school students from across southern Alberta designed, built and tested 2-foot wind turbines in a mini wind tunnel. Teams were judged on how much energy their turbines produced, as well as their knowledge of wind energy and their unique designs. The event was put on by Lethbridge College's International Wind Energy Academy and was hosted by the U of L. The event coincided with the Canada-wide Science Fair.
They'll often see the giant wind turbines all throughout Alberta, and this allows them to get hands-on with the technology. It's obviously not on the same scale, but the technology is the same, the ideas are the same.
This will be the first time I ever attended this one. I plan on joining next year, changing some things and maybe adding more blades. But yes, it's fun. It's definitely a learning experience, that's for sure.
They came, they were judged, and now the journey has ended for nearly 500 grades 7 to 12 students from across the country. Dozens upon dozens of awards were given out last night for the top achievers of the Canada-wide Science Fair, including more than $15,000 to the top winner.
In the bloodstream when I injected it, so.
The cure for cancer could be sitting right here with this student from Peterborough, Ontario. This is 19-year-old Adam Noble. He took home the trophy for best project overall for his research in silver nanoparticle therapy. It's a tumor-targeted therapy where a cancer cell is manipulated into killing itself. Using chicken embryos, Noble found that he could shrink cancer tumors by 45% in 8 days. He plans to spend his winnings to further his education in pre-med.
I couldn't even believe it. I was just so excited. I was just like, I couldn't even talk. I was that excited, and because this is my last science fair. So my plan was to go out with a bang, so it ended up working out fairly well for me. So.
The University of Lethbridge officially opened its doors to its new downtown location yesterday. Dr. Michael Mann joined Jim and Hazel Penny in cutting the ribbon on the Dr. Foster James Penny building. It's named in honor of the Penny's late son, who passed away in 1992 after a 5-year battle with Lou Gehrig's disease. The gift is roughly valued at $2 million, and it will become home to gallery space for the Fine Arts Department and Alumni Relations. The Pennies say their donation was the right thing to do.
I don't think you have to be that. It's not a matter of pride. It's a matter of we're citizens here. The majority of our business has not been in Lethbridge, as you know, because of our involvement in the food business. But this was our home. It's been our home for 45 years. So where else would you do it?
Dr. Foster Penny was just 44 years old when he passed away. His parents say it's a fitting tribute to their son. And some big news for future students of Lethbridge College. There's a lot more money available for student scholarships. It began with a donation of $100,000 donation from CEM to establish the Ed Valgardson Memorial Scholarship, followed by $500,000 from the Métis Nation of Alberta to support Métis student scholarships. And then it finished off with a $1 million gift from 5 local families.
It's an outstanding day for the college, and all of the donations will be used in a way really to further access to education and to provide the highest quality of learning facilities that we can for the future of this college.
Now, the college also launched their most ambitious fundraising campaign in its history. They're hoping to raise more than $14 million to renew its trades and technology building. You may have never heard of a dam buster, but in World War II, these brave Canadians played a key role in the Allied efforts. Brendan Miller has the details.
It's been almost 70 years since retired World War II pilot Lance Benson has heard the trembling roar of a Bristol Hercules engine. Benson joined the Royal Canadian Air Force when he was just 17 years old and flew in 33 bombing campaigns spanning over 5 years.
If you said you weren't scared, you were lying.
And although Benson was too young to fly in the legendary Dam Busters raid, he would later fly with some of the surviving pilots and can still recall the significance of the operation.
Well, you see, the dams, water was very important to the enemy to make steel and a whole bunch of things. And when they bombed the dams, it flooded part of the country and spoiled their navigational system, did a lot of damage.
To pay tribute to those involved in the historic raid, Nanton's Bomber Command Museum fired up the engine of a restored 1950s Lancaster FM 159. Hundreds of people came to pay their respects.
The reason that we're standing here free people today is due to the fact that these young fellows went out and gave their lives.
Back in 1943, 133 airmen flew 18 Lancaster bombers in a coordinated effort to destroy enemy hydroelectric dams. 53 men lost their lives. 30 Canadians flew in the dam's raid. Only 15 returned home safely. Museum volunteers say restoring and maintaining these bombers is an important way for family members and future generations to remember these historic events and the brave airmen who died or risked their lives for our freedom. Brendan Miller, CTV News, Nanton.
Thank you, Brendan. Well, coming up next, Dory is going to tell us what the full long weekend forecast entails. First, though, the stock market's finished higher for a 4th straight week.